You still probably can't hear me yet, hey?
I
Still
can hear
can't hear
you.
me?
I can hear you this time.
You can hear me?
I can hear
I
you.
can't hear you.
Oh, come on.
Hold on. I believe it's on my end in routing. I actually
Oh,
believe
okay.
it's on my end. So
Okay. All
hold
right.
on a sec. It's always on my end. This new setup I got, I'm still trying to get used to it. For doing Skype stuff because I do
Uh-huh.
all my consulting via Skype.
Oh, okay.
Um, so a lot of times I just default to my phone. But I figured for this interview, I need to figure out how to get this stuff routed right. So
Yeah. Like I said, I'm trying to find something that's better than Skype. Like for example, when I have Skype up, my screen keeps blinking in and out, but on the
okay.
recording, it's not showing up. So it's just frustrating to me, just constantly seeing
Oh,
you
to
and
see
then
it.
go
Yeah.
out and then come back up and then be like that for like a couple seconds. So for the most part, as long as we can hear each other and we can see each other on
Yeah.
occasion, the
Yeah.
recording's
Yeah.
fine. We're all good.
Cool. All right.
Alrighty. So how have you been?
um, actually, pretty good. Was
Why the
just working on some
hesitation? Why
stuff.
the hesitation?
It's so much, and there's so many moving pieces to what it is that I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes it gets kind of crazy. What I was just working on before we got on
Right.
was we're trying to use this new software package called Monday.
What's it called?
Monday.com.
Monday.com? What's that mean?
Monday.com. It's a way to track our work, to track what it is that we're working on. Like we do demos, we do
Uh-huh.
sound checks for people. And so there's three members on my team. And so it's getting to a point where we've got to be able to track this because
Okay,
it's
so it's
getting
like a
too
date
big.
planner kind of thing, like an organizer for
It
working
is,
with
and it
people.
shows tasks for everyone and
Okay.
where we are in the process and all that. Like I just delivered 2 demos this morning.
Okay.
Already, so that we got done last week or over the weekend. Because our process is I have script writers, and so the people that buy our demos, the first contact they have is with our script writers
Of
because they
course.
have a process they go
Right.
through, and then the next step is me where I coach them through the read, and then the final process is I send it off to my audio production guy JC, and he does the final production
Okay. Okay.
on the whole thing. So it's a process.
It sounds like it.
And we started getting lost, in the process. Like, wait a minute, what about this one? What about that one? So it's like, okay, we're too big to keep this in our head. Let's, go ahead and start doing this right.
So I start doing it like with an actual
Yeah,
checklist. Okay.
exactly.
How many demos do you produce in like a week, would you say, on average?
2 to 3.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not that bad. Like it almost sounded like you were saying like you really were doing like 30 a week and
No,
you're like
but tack
all
on.
over the
Okay,
place.
okay, but tack on those demos and then
Uh-huh.
tack on doing sound checks for people to check out their studio sound and see how they can make it a little better.
Oh, okay.
Tack on to that. I coach people every day at different phases of
They're
voiceover as
right.
far as where they are, and then tack on to that accounting and invoicing and me doing my own freaking VO. It's
I mean, your own actual job.
Yeah, my own actual job besides running Earl Hall Studio,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, man, I mean, I am a voice actor, but I took on all this other stuff, and it's like, oh my gosh,
Doing
okay,
all this
but
other stuff, and you're like, oh right, I have to be me for a second. I have to
right,
do
exactly,
my thing. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Well, it is the Monday. Like, how long have you been doing the Monday date
Oh,
planner
Friday,
organizer?
Friday,
Oh, okay. Started Friday. Okay.
this past
Okay.
Friday,
So
yeah,
it'd be too soon to ask you how that's working for you. It'd be a little
yeah.
too soon. Okay. Okay.
Literally just sent out all the invites to my team
Okay.
to, we're just doing a fake project. Okay, let's do this fake project over 3 days and
Oh,
see
okay.
how this
That's a
goes.
that's a that's a good way of starting it. Like do a little
Yeah,
test project. Okay. Cool.
exactly.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Good to know that the internet has found a way of helping you rather than just being a hindrance to most people.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for doing this. Is was
Oh man, my honor, man.
you know
My honor for real.
it was amazing that you answered me so quickly in email. Like I had sent out. I don't know if you saw the other interview that I did with Griffin Puatu. I believe that's his last name.
No, I didn't see that one.
He was someone that I had messaged like 5 months, and then eventually contacted me, and I had forgotten that I had emailed him. I thought he was contacting me on that. I was like, oh, yeah, that'd be a great idea. He's like, did you come up with this idea? So so that was a lot of fun. And I wanted to contact him because he does a lot of character work like I do.
Sure.
You know, and I was just searching, you know, people to interview because I get a lot of questions on here, which, by the way, the whole voice acting tips and microphone reviews and stuff like that wasn't originally what Funny Guy Timmy, the YouTube channel, was for. Originally, I started out doing things like short films and video editing, and I had started out doing voiceover like at the same time, but I didn't really put that much time into it. And people started asking me because people found out that I did voiceover, and so they started asking me questions. I tried to answer them.
Yeah.
But I never felt confident in the answers and tips and advice that I was giving because for me, I feel like most of the work that I've gotten has been accident. If that's like, I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing, but I don't know what it is that I'm doing. Does that make sense?
I do. And, you know, listening to you, it sounds kind of like the same kind of process that I went through initially.
Right.
When I started out, I mean, obviously I wasn't here. When I started out, you may have seen.
I remember your first video when you were talking about the blanket fort, which is what I called it. You're putting up a blanket fort, and it looked very similar to what I had made. And I just finished talking to a guy who had sent me his demo, asking for a review on his demo, and I told him first, don't tell me what your place looks like. Don't tell me what your recording space looks like or what microphone or interface you do. Just send me your demo, and then I want to guess and all this kind of stuff. It's you know, it's a little bit more interesting. When you send me like, tell me what you're working in, now I know what it looks like, and that's what I'm hearing. So at first I couldn't hear what space he was in, which is really good. I couldn't tell what kind of space he was in. And then he sent me a picture, and it was just a pillow fort, blanket fort. And he was like the little corner, and you know, he put up like one of those little, Japanese like half wall things, and he put stuff over it. And I was like, way to go, bro. I couldn't hear any of that. And my space was very similar. I found a, I don't remember what it was, but it was it was like scaffolding. It was like aluminum scaffolding pieces, and it made like this little hinge. And I found a corner, and I just put stuff on the wall, and I put the blanket over it, and it worked. So that was how I started. And so going back and watching some of your first videos and seeing that like just brought me back.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And I did all that. I did all that on purpose.
Did you?
What I mean by on purpose is it was a conscious decision for me to share my journey.
Oh, yeah, right.
It was a very conscious decision for me to do that because I'd never seen anyone do it. I knew that ultimately I'd be somewhere like this, but
you knew what the end goal was.
I knew what the end goal was. It was very clear to me what it was, even though I was not there yet. And it was about a 2-year journey for me to get here. But I wanted to show that journey so that, you know, Lottie Dottie and anybody would know that they could do it if they had the work ethic to get it done. And no one had done that. You see people after they've made it.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, so I was very conscious
about how to be a voice actor. And they would talk about, oh, you got to stand like this and eat these foods and drink this. You're like, that doesn't really tell me anything. I've seen so many of those videos. And I did a lot of the same stuff when I moved to Austin, Texas, and I had a day job, but I was only working so many hours, and I needed that extra money. I needed that. I was just shy of breaking even, so I started Fiverr, which I actually had a Fiverr account for a while, and I hadn't really done anything with it. But when I moved here,
I still do have a Fiverr account. I made $400 on Fiverr last month. I mean, get out of here. Oh, on 2 jobs.
On 2 jobs? Dang
on
it.
2 jobs.
That's what I make. That's almost what I make on average on there now. But so I started like putting more time into that, and it actually helped me do more than break even every month. And so you know, I started putting more time into that, and you know, then people found out and they started asking me, and so then it slowly but surely became this. And my first setup in here, I had bed topper, that white or eventually yellow.
I know what you're talking about, the eggshell type thing.
Yeah, the eggshell. It was everywhere, and I showed it off. I had no problem because I was proud of the sound quality.
There it is.
And on
it's all that matters. The end result is all that matters. It's all that matters.
And my thing on Fiverr, when I first got on Fiverr, and this was like 6-7 years ago, like early on Fiverr, there was a lot of people doing voiceover, but no one really had a high quality sound.
Mm.
Everyone was using like headset mics or like the Blue
I
Snowball.
know.
And my thing was like, all
Yeah.
right, you know what? I'm going to deliver a high quality product. That was my thing. There's other people on here that may be better at doing different voices or maybe have more experience on Fiverr, but my thing was going to be high quality product. And it
Yeah.
actually got me a lot of work. So a lot of my focus was trying to get the best interface, the best microphone, and that's what brought forth the microphone
Yeah.
reviews. Is that was kind of my thing. Is like I don't know exactly how to market myself. I don't know exactly how to do auditions. I don't know exactly how to do communicate with clients the best. So my focus has been on trying to help new people get the best
Sure.
quality sound for the lowest price. And so that was kind of my thing. Kind of a really brief
Awesome.
backstory of my Fiverr and my YouTube channel and how it's gone so far.
Okay. Okay.
So, but yeah, you said 2 years, 2 years from the blankets on the wall to this right here.
Yeah. It was. I've been in voiceover for over a decade. A lot of things happen. Life happens, and then about 3 years ago, where we're at 2018, so 2016. I was a bus driver. I drove a bus for the city of Milwaukee.
Okay.
And this guy gets on the bus, and we had talked chit chat. You have customers that ride your bus all the time. So he got on, and we were chit chatting, and he mentioned, "Oh yeah, I'm just getting ready to go do some VO," and I'm like, that, dogs and yeah. And I'm like, "You do voiceover?" And then he went, "You know what VO is?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." And so we started talking, and that was at the end of 2015, I want to say 2015 or 2016, I forget. But that's when I said, "Damn it, I'm just going to do this." And I went literally all in and that's where the grind and don't quit mentality came from, because as a full-time bus operator, I mean, I'm making close to six figures just doing that. Right. And so to say in my head, I want to flip it and do something else, was kind of traumatic, but it's like I wanted to spend at least the second half of my life doing what the freak I wanted to do, as opposed to punching a clock. And so I worked 12, 14 hours a day driving the bus. I did another 5-6 hours a day starting and really focusing in on and putting blinders on doing voiceover. Right. I ended up I said, you know what, this schedule is too crazy driving a bus. I want a regular schedule, because as a bus operator, there is no such thing as a regular schedule.
Oh, yeah.
And so I took a $30,000 a year pay cut to just go work in the garage. And because it was a set schedule, working from 7 p.m. to 3:30 a.m. in the morning every day. That was the set schedule. So I basically, for 2 years, this is no lie, this was my schedule. I wake up in the morning at about 7 o'clock to take my kids to school, drop them. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's just say that's the start of my day. 7 a.m., wake up, take the kids to school, all right? Come back home, go down in my home studio, work from about 8 o'clock to about 1 o'clock, because to try and take a nap, then go pick my kids up from school, come back home, be back home by 4, take another nap to be at work by 7 p.m., get off at 3:30 a.m., wake up at 7 to take 2 years. This is no joke. Good this is God. What I said. I'm going to do this. And I look back on this now and I was like, how the fuck did I do that? It's like I
how did you
but
tolerate
it's like
that for so long?
It was, I was just driven. It was just driven. I made a commitment to myself, and then I also made my wife my accountability buddy.
Okay.
Because I made her a promise at the time that I said, I need 2 years from you. I literally said this. I need 2 years. I'm going to miss stuff with the family. Mm-hmm. I'm going to forget a lot of things, because I knew what was going to happen.
Right.
And she knew me as an entrepreneur anyway. There's a long other backstory behind that, but she knows I'm a business owner at heart. I'm just an entrepreneur at heart. Mm-hmm. And she said, okay. Literally quit my job last year. and have just never looked back since that happened. But at the time where I was right about to quit, I think my youngest daughter came to me. I have 3 girls, 1 boy. My youngest daughter came to me. I'm in the bedroom, because I was always asleep or going to sleep or going to work. That was my life. I was always going to sleep or going to work, going to sleep or going to work. And my daughter comes in and she says, "Why don't you love us anymore?"
Oh.
And I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Well, you never go anywhere with us. You never do anything." And it's like, how do you really explain that, what daddy's doing now to a 10-year-old
Right.
that's going to benefit her in the next 5 years? How do you really, explain that?
Right.
But it was one of those things where I was glad that it wasn't too long after that conversation that I was able to quit my job and do this full time, which was last fall when I did this. And again, just never looking back, from that point. But it is really, that's where my whole mantra, the whole grind and don't quit thing comes from. It's like, if you want it, you got to go get it, and it's not going to be easy to do.
Right.
Especially not a husband with 4 kids.
Yeah. I have. I'm fortunate enough to not have any kids. Not saying that having kids is bad. I don't want to say that. But my older brother, he has 2 kids, and he is an amazing artist. He's an amazing illustrator. His stuff is
awesome.
leaps and bounds past anything I will ever be able to achieve. And I've been really trying to get him to focus on that, because at his level of artistic skill, I was like, dude, you could be making more money doing that, what you love, and stay home with the family than working, a guard shack, and stuff like that. And my thing, the reason I moved to Austin, Texas, was because I was, how old was I? 23. I want to say 23.
Okay.
And ever since I was 6, I had always had the goal of being an actor, or doing things with cartoons and art and writing, and ADHD, and the whole born ADHD, super hyperactive. And my mother's thing was not to put me on Ritalin, because they tried Ritalin. This is back in the 90s. Back in the 90s.
When it first all started.
When they first started, they're like, "Oh, we have this drug. It'll cure any child. Just give them Ritalin."
Yeah.
And I don't remember the entire period of me being on Ritalin. It's a blank spot in my childhood. And my mother saw that, and she was like, "This is not good for him. He's just not there." So what she did instead is like, "What do you want to do? Let's go do it." And so anything that I had an interest in, they encouraged. And that was going to acting, being a clown, puppeteering, comedy, anything. And so my thing was always like, anything that was entertaining, anything that was performing, I wanted to be a part of. And so since then till about 23, that was something that I was pursuing. But I lived in a small town, Lufkin, Texas. Nothing happens in Lufkin, Texas. Nothing.
All right.
The only opportunity I had to get in front of people and entertain was there was every now and then there'd be like karaoke's at karaoke bars.
Sure.
And this is when I was pursuing stand-up comedy, and the one guy who did the karaoke, because he was the same guy, that's how small it was. He knew me, and so anytime I'd go up, he would have technical difficulties for a couple minutes, and I would try to fill that gap by just doing comedy, and then we would go on with the song. So it was the one opportunity, and then eventually I was like, I either have to move to L.A. or just a bigger city, and I chose to move to Austin, Texas, because it was the first place that I had done comedy.
Okay.
And I got a day job, and it was incredibly brutal because I didn't have a vehicle, so I was just taking the bus all the time, and I was getting no sleep. And then I'd come home and I'd try doing voices.com, Voice123, Fiverr, and I'd get like 3-4 hours of sleep at a time. And eventually, after like a year and a half of doing that, I quit because I was actually making more than enough to survive on my stand-up comedy as well as voice acting.
Awesome.
But I only quit for about 6 months because eventually all that dried up, and I had nothing lined up after that, and I wasn't getting any more work. So I went back to the same place to get a job, and so I was trying to figure out what was it that I did that got me all this work, because I didn't understand what it was. I didn't understand exactly why people were coming to me, so I kept doing that and kept learning, and I eventually quit the same day job again, and started. I was like, all right, I have a better idea. I know what it was that I was doing, and I was done with them for a while. I didn't need the day job, and then they came to me and asked me to come back, and I was like, all right, I can work for you for like 3 days out of a week. That's all I can spare. 3 days, 2.5 preferably. And so I helped them out, and at the same time I was still doing all this other stuff. But eventually, they kept piling on more hours.
Yeah, of course.
And then I had to tell them, I gotta go. This is not what I agreed to. This is not what.
Yeah.
And so, just before like this month, beginning of this month, I walked away from them forever to never go back. And so my thing is like, all right, I'm now back into this. I got to get back into this, and I got to get back out there because I know I can do it. I know I can survive on it. I just got to get that momentum going. And so that's been my thing.
What you're talking about, and like even with the thing you said, like about your brother and being just this great artist, illustrator, and things of that nature. One of the things that I found over the past, really, it's been a year now that I've been in the coaching space and known in the coaching space, is that there's this thing with people that are creative. I'll use the word technicians. They're technicians to the point where they know exactly how to do what they do.
Right.
But when it comes to developing a business, it's a completely different skill set.
Right.
And most people think, oh, if I'm a good web developer, I can build a business. Well, not if you don't know how to.
Right.
And, I tell people all the time in the stuff, in the content that I produce, your number one job as a voice actor is to get the client. That's the number one thing, because if you're not pursuing that, I don't care how good you are. Yeah. If you don't know how to market, and I say, voiceover is about this much. Marketing is about this much.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's kind of like how you have to parse out your day a lot of times in order to keep that momentum, like what you were talking about, going. Right. Because, I have this thing where I say, whatever you do today, you'll receive results from it in about 90 days from now. That's from, okay, if you're marketing today, you're sending out, 100 emails, you're posting on Twitter, whatever, something that has, and this is the whole thing too, and I tell voice actors this all the time, stop posting on Twitter, hey, come buy my shit. Don't do that. Don't post, hey, I'm a voice actor, come buy my stuff. Hey, I'm a voice actor, can I do some work for you? Stop doing that. It's like no one's hearing you, no one's listening to you. There's got to be something else that you're doing that will draw people to you, i.e. a YouTube channel, writing a blog, something that actually showcases your skills so that people can get to know who you are, and you're not out there like a beggar with a cup, jingle, jingle, jingle. Hey, can you give me some money and watching me do this trick type of thing. And that's why so many voice actors are seen as a commodity, and, prices get driven down or whatever, depending on the level of voice acting that you're doing. But if you're just a technician and you think that's going to be the thing to get you over, it's not. It literally almost has nothing to do with it. I can take a less than voice actor and teach them marketing that will blow away the best voice actor in the world that has no clue how to get himself or herself out there. Right. It's about the marketing. It really is, and knowing that you're the brand. So that's one of the things that I see a lot of, that I have to kind of flip the script on some folks as far as if they want to be a voice actor. No, you want to be a business owner. That's what you want to be.
More than anything. You get a lot of like the younger voice actors, one that do like the impressions and all the character voices. Those are like the majority of the young, but no 16-year-old voice actor wants to do the commercials. None of them. They're like, I want to be the next Cartoon Network. No, you don't. No, you do not. No, you don't. You'll often hear them say like, I can do this voice better than them. I'm a better voice. It's like, yeah, but you don't know why that guy is getting the work. He's getting the work because, number one, he made connections normally with the producer, the director, the writer.
Exactly.
That's how a lot of show business is done. That's why Seth MacFarlane keeps
connections and relationships.
Shows. Yeah.
Connections and relationships.
They knew him. Seth MacFarlane actually, for many, many years, struggled to get his own show. The Family Guy TV show, what he's most known
Yeah.
for. He tried pitching basically the same idea 10 different times, 10 different people.
Wow.
He kept altering it and changing it. Look up the history of Family Guy. It's crazy. One of the first more successful iterations actually hit Cartoon Network. And it was this short, like 2-episode little bit, and he did a lot of the same voices in it and used a lot of the same characters later on, but they never picked it up. Cartoon Network never picked it up. So he basically modified it and then pitched it to Fox and did a pilot episode. They liked it. So, it's not like they were just like, he came in and he just did like, hey, I can do a Kermit the Frog. And they're like, you're hired. Yeah. It never happens that way. More than anything, he knew some guys that started out in the business. They went to college together. There's actually quite a few guys that he went to college with. And then they knew each other and they kept in touch. And more than anything, it's making that connection. And one of the things that I do on here a lot is, the impressions. Everybody finds the impressions really funny. I do a lot of behind the scenes. Anytime I have a big project, game or a cartoon, and then it gets posted, I'll do a behind the scenes because I like recording myself doing that and then showing them, this is what it looks like behind it, and people enjoy that kind of stuff. And that actually gets me more notice than, my commercial demo. My commercial demo, no matter how good it is, produced by whoever, nobody is going to contact me. No matter how professional my website looks, nobody is going to contact me about my website. Yeah. Which is one of the things I like talking to people about is it's important. I feel like it's important to have a website, but it's not worth anything, if that makes sense.
Let me tell you this. Oh my gosh, yes. In the consulting that I do, and it's one of those things, everybody's concerned about a website, and they want to have the big bells and whistles, and they want the biggest shock and awe. Or whatever go, that,
right when fireworks, right when they go to the first page. No.
And I shut people down. I shut people down automatically on website stuff because it's like, why do you have 12 pages on your website?
Oh my God.
It's like you need one page. There's nothing more than you need than one page on a website. And there's only 3 actions you want to have occur on your website. 1, you want people to listen to your demo. So that's got to be front and center.
Yeah.
You want people to have your phone number and your email address because you either want them to call you or you want them to email you.
Just beneath the demo. That's why I said just beneath the demo. Because if they listen to the demo and they don't, like it.
I got to scroll. I got to do this. Exactly. And then people, I've had people argue with me about this, but I don't give a crap. I say, please take all of your social media off of your freaking website. Just take it off. Why do you want people clicking away from your website and now they're on Facebook? And now they're doing all this stuff. First of all, your social media presence or whatever it is that you're doing on Facebook is not where you want them to go. You want them to stay on your website and take one of those actions. Don't give them an option to click away because that's going to take them away from what you want. If you want to have something like other maybe videos or something like that, just put it right on your website. But don't have them click away to YouTube. Don't have them click away to anything else. If what you're doing is strictly as a voice actor and you want work, keep them on your page, and people say, well, what about, a newsletter? What do you mean? What about a newsletter? You're not writing a newsletter.
What are you going to write?
And what do they want to read a newsletter for? I mean,
why do they want to see
sign up
word?
Subscribe for my newsletter. And you're not even freaking writing a newsletter and nobody wants it anyway. And it's, it's like the simplest thing. And I'll say this, and I give people this specific direction because it's like, look, you can't look at my website because I do way more than just voice acting. So don't use my website as a template. I was like, the best website I've seen out there as far as to follow would literally actually be Bill DeWeese. There's only one page that he has. Follow that, do that, and you're fine. You don't need all this other stuff. We try and get so fancy, as Gary Vaynerchuk would say. We want to be fancy.
Yeah.
But it can be so super simple and just straight to the point. You want a good looking, website. Yeah. Just get a WordPress template or something and just, pop your logo in there. And most people are making their logos way too big on their site and their picture way too big on their site. Nobody gives a crap what you look like.
Like all they care about is just a big face just leaning in. Bill DeWeese on his website, his photo is like that big, like it's like him like that, and it's like off to the side. There is kind of a thing, with like East Coast versus West Coast as far as like headshots and voiceover. Some people say, headshots are necessary, or some people say the clients like headshots, and others say that that it's a waste of time or it actually deters people. So my thing is, have a headshot,
Sure,
but
you
it's probably
can.
not
I've got
necessary. It's
have
probably
a
not
little
necessary. Yeah,
thumbnail, have a
little
little
icon.
thumbnail about when you're talking about all the bull crap that you say you know how to do, but you really don't. And you're lying about the equipment that you have that you
Yeah.
actually don't have.
Yeah.
Put your headshot there.
Yeah. On that, like if you have one of the I was actually talking to somebody and they were talking about websites, and one of my
Hmm.
favorite references is Bob Bergen,
Hmm.
one of the biggest cartoon actors and animation actors alive right now. He is like the voice of so many Warner Brother characters.
Yeah.
And I actually had a long email conversation with him, which I learned so much. I can't tell you how much I learned. But his website, again, remember this guy's making a lot of money, doing a lot of cartoon characters. He's a huge
Hmm.
name. Everybody knows him. He has one of the crappiest looking websites I have ever seen in my
And that
life.
will occur. It's
Right.
like it doesn't matter when you have relationships. That
Probably
just goes out the door.
basically it was like he made that website around the same times as MySpace was made. Like it's really old and out of date. And for him it's
Oh
totally fine
wow.
because more people just like the clients he works with, the people that he works with just have his number and they know his
Yeah,
agent and they know his manager.
exactly.
So like he doesn't care about the website. He just has it because it's just part of the resume.
Hmm.
It's just part of the resume thing. It's a thing that you put on the back of a card just beneath phone number and
Yeah.
email. And so he just has it, but it literally doesn't matter. My
Yeah.
first webpage was horrible. Recently, I cut a whole bunch
All
of
of ours
stuff
were.
out of all of them are.
All of them are. Your first YouTube video was a piece of crap.
Oh
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Oh
It's
my
like all
gosh.
of that is all the firsts are just crappy.
The first everything's are terrible. I was actually going back and listening to my first demos, and
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I wanted to just hurt myself,
Yeah.
sit in the corner just crying, rocking back and forth, all that kind of stuff. I actually, I'm one of those kind of advocates for doing your own demos. I know you've talked about it before, early on, doing your own demos, and I can't tell you, I've learned
Yeah.
so much as far as like producing audio quality. Now, a lot of people are probably never going to learn the skills to make their own demos. Some people
Yeah.
just aren't going to get that. Audio production is never going to be their thing. They'll be
Right.
able to do the voiceover, but they're not going to be able to like mix the track or be able to portray anything
Yeah.
accurately. And for those people, I don't think that voiceover is a waste of their time. I do think that they need to learn some more of that. They need to learn more of those
Well, I've
skills.
said, I mean, the home studio is the future of voiceover. And if you don't know how to become some sort of, maybe not expert, but extremely proficient in
Right.
audio production, you're going to lose.
A lot.
Because it's going to be needed.
Mhm.
We're not back 20 years ago where to do voiceover, you had to go into a studio and have an agent and you had a soundboard guy or gal and
Yeah.
they're mixing all this stuff. No, we're getting jobs and we have to produce the end product. And that end product means you got to understand EQ, you got to understand compression, you got to understand audio ducking, you've got to understand, all these little nuances in
Mixing
how
the
to
right
put
music with the right vocal.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's an art. I don't think you can
That's
teach that.
such a crazy
It's
art.
that's why I don't teach that. It's like that's an art. Either you got it or you don't, and I don't know how to give it to you.
Right.
And that goes back to being a technician. Okay, I know what button to press,
Mhm.
but the art of it as well as the business side of it is, yeah, but what does all that mean, and how do you put all that together and to make it sound appropriate? And
Right.
that's a skill set that I don't know that's teachable. You can learn
Right.
the technical side of it, but it's an art. At the end of the
Right.
day, it's an art.
And that's one of those things where when I was talking about, I feel like I just get lucky. It's one of
Mhm.
those. That's one of those areas where I feel like I get lucky. One of the voiceover demos when I would say one of my early professional voiceover demos, not the stuff that I was making before I had any idea.
Yeah.
But one of my more professional early demos. I have no idea why anyone likes this demo. It's one of my least favorite. But I keep having to reuse it because when there's a lot of commercial clients that will come to me that's the demo they liked. and they'll name it, and I call it my K Jewelers commercial, and it's just that kind of cheesy, diamonds are forever, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this is like,
you want to show your love and your appreciation for everything she's done for you.
Exactly. Yeah, that kind of, you can just taste the cheese.
Yeah.
It's just one I did because I was like, okay, I need something that fits in that category. That's more the quiet delivery. And it's one of everyone's favorites of mine, and I have no idea why. So that's like one of those areas. Like I know I need to do that, but when it comes to like commercial, and like I just don't understand that. Does that make sense? Like,
commercial,
I can do it,
but
I just don't understand it.
Well, and it's one of those things, even when I'm talking to people that work with me, some people, they get kind of frustrated. Well, I'm doing all these auditions and I'm not getting any work and all this and that. I'm like, look, what you have to understand is that you're going to get more no's than yeses, first of all. Second of all, in most cases, well, I don't know if I can say in most. In a lot of cases, it has nothing to do with your talent or your ability to deliver. But the one thing that we never know and we never have access to is that voice that's in that person's head that put that script together. They have a voice in their head already.
Yeah.
And they can't describe to you what it is because all the crappy descriptions we get
Those
as far
are
as
dreadful.
the kind of. Yeah,
Those
they're
are
ridiculous.
Absolutely dreadful.
Yeah.
I need to do a video on just how much I hate those. Just a rant. They're worthless.
Right. And it's like that person has a voice in their head. And when they hear that voice in their head, it almost doesn't matter what your skill level is. They just heard that voice that was in their head and that matched it. And that's why that person got that job. You can't compete against that because you don't know what's in that person's head. So all you can do is continue to put out, auditions and things of that nature. And from time to time, like all of us, boom, we get the job because our voice matched the voice in the head. That was it.
Right.
That was it. Nothing more, nothing less.
There was some voices.com auditions that I knew I auditioned for, and later on Pandora, where they have the commercial stuff when you have the free version because we're cheap, and I heard Bill DeWeese deliver that commercial.
Yeah,
and I was like, and that kept happening. That kept happening on a regular basis. Every now and then I'd keep hearing him, and I was like, son of a. How did? And so he was like one of the first voiceover coaches that I went to because I knew he was landing ones that I was shooting for, and we have a very similar. We're at a different age range, but we have a very similar vocal description. So I was like, if anyone can help me, it's probably going to be Bill DeWeese as far as like delivery, because the best description of my voice is young, adult, general American guy next door. Like that's just that's the best description of my voice. And it's important for people to know what their voice sounds like and where they fit.
Exactly, because you'll be auditioning for things you'll never get because you're not in your genre.
Right. And one of the biggest wastes of time for voices.com, Voice 123, and anything like that, when people try to audition for everything. And I started out trying to do that. And it's like when it's commercial, narration, any of that kind of stuff where it's not character work, it's not cartoon. If that's not your normal voice, skip. Just skip it. You're going to be wasting your time, wasting your energy. You only have so many hours in a day, and you need to get through as many auditions as you possibly can. First thing that I do on voices.com is, pull everything up by category. I do the animation and character stuff first because that's my strength. And then after that, then I sort by age. Young adult, I do all that. If it's child, I might do it if it's teenager. It just depends on the read and what it's for.
Sure.
But most of the time senior and most middle age stuff I skip.
Okay.
Also, unless you actually have that accent, try to dodge regional accents. Because you'll hear a lot of people like trying to they're looking for a southern accent. They'll put on their fake southern accent for a commercial. That's not what they're looking for. This isn't character work. That might work.
And what's funny? What's funny about that is obviously people can see me. I'm African American. And I can't get booked for an African American job to save my life. It's
because it's white
you're
people
laughing.
Hosting the audition.
Well, I grew up. I was born in Virginia, so I started off with a very Southern accent. Then we moved to Baltimore when I was about 11. So people made fun of my accent so much it just dropped. And I grew up in an upper class white Jewish neighborhood.
Wow.
Okay. And so my speech pattern and everything else,
Mhm.
if people listen long enough, they can maybe able to determine that I'm African American, but my speech pattern isn't what would be a quote unquote traditional African American style voice. I
Right.
can't compete for those jobs. I don't have it. I can't even fake it. So
Right. Right. I was born and raised most of my childhood in Texas, and then I
Mhm.
lived I think like 6 years in California, and that's from the beach
Yeah.
to the mountains, like 6 or 8 different places in California, and then I moved to Louisiana and then back to Texas. So across that
Okay.
bottom part, and so I've just lots of exposure. I watch a lot of TV, cartoons, movies, and stuff like that, and everyone has that kind of
Yeah.
general American, and so I don't really have like a regional accent. So
Yeah.
most of the stuff that I apply for, most of the stuff that I've gotten has been like a very general American sound.
Sure.
But
And growing up in Texas, you should have that, that Texas drawl or whatever,
yeah, you should. I
being
mean,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, especially when we look at like the southern parts of Texas. But
Yeah.
there have been a few regional accents that I've actually auditioned for and got. And this is another one of those. I have no idea how to do this again or replicate this. 2 times it was an Irish accent, just because
Oh,
I had
wow.
done every other audition that day, and I liked the read. So I looked at I read it and I was like, all right, it's relatively short,
Yeah.
and this was on Voices 1, 2, 3, and so and they had regional Irish accent. So I looked up the region and
Okay.
I typed in commercials for that region and
Mhm.
interviews. So you have the people in that area, and so I was paying attention to how they were saying all their vowels, all their things, and so
Yeah.
I listened to that and then kind of did a watered down version,
Okay.
and then did the read as best as I could, and I actually landed that work. But I couldn't redo that if I wanted to. That's a few times that I've actually done commercial work and actually, outside of my natural accent.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible, but that I could have spent that time on other things. I mean, I did land the gig, but if I didn't, it would have been a total waste of my
A
time.
lot of things like that are really hard. Like I don't do characters, but one of the biggest jobs I had last year was a character voice,
Oh,
which one of my agents called me, hey, Earl, can you just audition for this part? Now, get this, the part, uh, they want me to be the voice of a smiley face emoji. What the heck does a smiley face emoji sound like?
was this for the
And
Emoji
so,
Movie? Please don't tell me this
no,
was the Emoji
no,
Movie.
no, no,
Okay.
no, that's what's for the
I was
emoji
like, oh,
movie at
Earl
all.
Hall, how could you? Oh,
So I'm looking
betrayal.
at this and I didn't realize that I beat out all these other voice actors. I just did the audition
Uh-huh.
thinking nothing of it and I wasn't going to get it. Then I call, hey, you booked the job. I'm like, really? And I think probably one of the processes that you might go through even in developing your characters is something that you did when you were a kid.
Right.
Something that you were playing around with or whatever. And there was back in 95, I was dating this girl and was it 95? Yeah, 95. And I used to do this voice, just kidding around with her.
Mhm.
And so when I'm sitting in front of my mic, I was like, how am I going to do this voice? And so I just went there.
Right.
And literally, this was the line. Hi, I'm that smiley face emoji on your phone. The one with tears of laughter, grinning from ear to ear. That was it. That was the whole freaking thing. And I just had to
And you
go
were like,
back
there's
and
no
find a
way.
voice. There's no way they're taking this voice. It's not happening. That
That's
was
the
the
one.
freaking voice
That
they
was
had
the
in their
one they
head,
liked.
right?
Wow.
you know and that's the only character job I've ever done. I
Mm.
have not done a character job since then, but I've never auditioned for them. I've done audiobooks where I've played
Kind of
characters.
done
And
characters, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it's different. It's different in audiobooks because it's not really
yeah,
like you're not fully representing the character. You're not fully embodying the character.
right,
You're quoting them in their voice, which
yeah,
is how I describe it. I've there's 1 or 2 audiobooks out there that I haven't made anything off of them because nobody bought them,
oh wow,
which I wouldn't be surprised if it's my fault. But like I can't do book narration or long form narration,
Mhm.
and a lot of that has to do with my dyslexia. Like when the project's too long,
Gotcha.
I literally, because it's so many mistakes to
Yeah,
do, to record like an hour and a half. We're talking almost 6 days worth
mhm.
of audio recording. I have gotten better with the snapping and clapping. That is something that I started doing this month.
Okay. Okay.
Which, by the way, has helped me out tremendously.
I was looking for my little clicker. I've got a clicker.
Oh, those little like dog clickers things?
Yeah, like this little thing here.
Yeah.
This little,
Yes. Yes.
that little thing there.
Yeah. Bill DeWeese does a tongue clicking thing, which drives me crazy. If you're watching any of his behind the scenes, like this,
no,
it sounds like a like that. Like I don't know what he's doing, but he's able to. And the first time he did that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? I thought it was like a tick he had.
Yeah,
but no,
I'll just do this.
Yeah.
Real big spike on your wave pattern there when you hear that.
That's
click.
the whole goes. The real big spike, and that has actually helped me out doing a lot more auditions because I used to have to like listen to the whole thing and scrub through the whole thing to like clean it up. Which, by the way, this month I've actually started doing something completely different with my commercial and narration auditions and work. Before, and I talked to Bill DeWeese a lot about this. Like I said, I went to him a lot because I couldn't understand commercial and narration. I can't get my head around it. I've done it. People have hired me for it, but I can't get my head around it. And the reason is because when it comes to character animation, in video games and all that kind of stuff, the character is very clear. It's easy to understand who this character is, what they're doing, what their motivations are, where they're from, how they talk, and all their lines are dialogue. It's actually written as dialogue, which is much easier to say. But
than reading a script, it's very different in reading, and that's why so many voice actors have problem delivering that natural read on commercials because of the way it's written.
Right, and it's not written like dialogue, but it's supposed to be
like
said like
it.
dialogue. It's written like the back of a cereal box or like a medicine thing. It's like you're supposed to say it like you're speaking to someone else, which I could never get that. I'm like, I would never talk to a friend like that. It's like, hey, do you know about the da 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 da? It's so great. Like I would never talk to anybody. So, but now my thing, because it was always explained to me that I'm just overthinking it, that I'm just thinking about it too much. Like, and so now I try to just read it as naturally as I possibly can.
I'm going to take you back to something you mentioned about having dyslexia. And growing up, I had a tremendous speech impediment.
Really?
Yeah, to the point where I was, just stuttering. I just could not get words out. Could not finish. I mean, it would physically start hurting for me to talk because I was just shaking and couldn't get words out. And I'm bringing up your dyslexia because you probably have gone through reading classes, and different things like that in school. And it was one of the things that I had to go through as well. And I was talking to one of my clients once, and I was trying to get them to understand about reading naturally. And I don't even know that I can teach this either, only because of my own background. But when I was going through that period in my life, like from about second grade to about seventh grade, where I was stuttering tremendously, I remember going through speech classes, and my instructor or therapist, whatever you want to call her, she would have me start reading, and then she would cover up the last few words. And I would I learned to read ahead.
Okay.
In a very unconscious manner, I learned to read ahead. And that's the skill I think I still use today in order to deliver a script, because I know what's coming. And then I can make it my own before I get there, type of thing. And I think sometimes when you go through things like you go through and the things that I go through with having that speech impediment, which my father had as well, my 12-year-old daughter now, she has it as well. It's just something in my family line.
Really?
But yeah,
so
it's just
like
something there.
Like genetic?
It's got to be, because my father had it, I had it, and my daughter has it. Only one of my kids has it, which is my daughter.
Okay.
She's the only one out of the four. But when you're trying to read naturally so many times, and probably one of the biggest problems that most voice actors have, like you and I are just having a conversation right now.
Right.
But all of a sudden, you get behind this microphone and you go into voice actor mode. Instead of just having a natural conversation, it's like, okay, hey, I'm sitting here talking to the funny guy. I got, all of a sudden you got to put something on. And it's like, no, your read is just you. You just have to be you, which is the hardest freaking thing for us to do, especially that do commercial type work, is to just read it naturally. We always want to put something on it because we don't think we're enough. No, you are enough. It's just you. Just be you. And how do you teach somebody to be themselves?
Someone actually listened to one of my commercial demos or I don't remember what it was, but they were like I think it was an audition. I think it was an audition because it was so bad, and they were like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "That's me." And they're like, "That's not you. It doesn't sound like you at all."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, because I was all like, "Hey, hi there, how's it going? Haha." Because when I'm doing auditions for, or how I used to do it, it would always be like I don't know what someone described it. I don't remember what it was, but it was like upspeak. Or I don't remember exactly what they said, but it was like there was more energy, and you'd always like put more emphasis, and so you're always like projecting a whole lot more, and every word is getting that theatrical treatment.
Yeah.
So it's always like this big upspeak, and they're like, nobody talks like that.
Yeah.
First of all, also I leave in a lot of my breaths. Now, because it's a natural part of speaking. What I used to do, and what I know a lot of people do, is they will try to take that huge breath and then try to like power
deliver
on
the
through
whole
the
thing. Yeah, power the whole thing. Yeah.
And nobody talks like that.
Yeah.
Nobody. So now, what I do, because I have dyslexia, I have Google Voice on my computer. So I use Chrome and I have Google Voice. And all of the audition scripts are digital, so I just highlight them, click that, and it'll read it to me. And I have it read it to me a couple times, and I'm reading along as it goes. And then I'm in Audacity. I just hit record. I don't even worry about it. And then I go in and I start reading it quietly to myself, going over some of them, and then I'll snap once, do one take. And even if I make a mistake, I try to get all the way to the end. And I do snaps and then try to get all the way to the end. And normally it's about 5 or 6 takes before I have a version that I'm like happy with. And by that time, it's actually gotten a lot easier. And what I used to do is I would, try to like record, I only want one recording. I'm only going to do this in one take, and then if I made a mistake, I'll try to like Franken stitch it together somehow.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And that's, it's a natural, it doesn't sound right. Just relax, calm down, take your time. There's nobody, you're in your home studio. There's no boss going to come and look over your shoulder asking you if you've done that memo or sent that email. You're on your time. It's better to it's better to do fewer high quality auditions than thousands of terrible auditions. Don't get me wrong. We need to do as many as we can in a day because you never know, like that whole voice in the casting director's head. Yeah. You never know which one is the one that's what you sound like. Even if you're like that, I don't know if that reads for me. If your voice falls in the description, go ahead and do it as best you can. Yeah. That might have been what they had in their head, and that's what I get a lot. And again, I have no idea how.
Hey, when are we starting the interview?
And go.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we've covered a lot of these topics. I knew that we would. I mean, let's see.
No, this is great. I'm loving this.
Yeah,
I'm loving this.
It's more natural.
And thanks so much for just reaching out too.
Yeah. I prefer a more natural conversation between two voice actors than like me having cue cards. And so, when did you get started? Do you have an agent? What advice do you have for getting an agent?
Yeah.
Those are there's a few of those out there, but they're pretty awkward. But yeah, I do want to cover a couple of these industry questions because these are ones that a lot of people have. And some of them, people don't know how irrelevant the answer to these questions might be. But as I asked, I've asked a lot of people this, and I have my own opinion, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you yours first. Screen Actors Guild or just any union, do you think that's necessary? Do you think it's going the way of the dodo? Thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think being in a union is necessary because of just the way that technology is pushing us forward. When I look at having or being in a union, whatever the union may be or organization, it seems to just reflect back into the past where if you didn't have that, you couldn't succeed. Where we've got oogles and boogles of examples of voice actors that are making it on their own, sitting in their home studio, doing what it is that they need to do to take care of themselves and their family. Now, if you're going to get up to a level, for instance, in the voice acting community, if you look at like Pyramid or Iceberg, all the stuff is mostly under the water.
Right.
The main bulk of the iceberg is under the water. The top is basically all we see, and it's a very small portion of what that actual iceberg is.
Right.
And so if you're going to be in a union and you want to be, the next, De La Fontaine, in a world, okay, you've got to join the union. Join the freaking union.
Right.
Because you're getting that top tier work. You want to have a certain level of protection, but you're not making $300 a gig. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so there's a lot that goes with that. If you're doing, if you're Ving Rhames and you're doing, Arby's, we have the beef or whatever. It's like,
that was good, by the way. That was really good. That was really close. That was really close.
A little bit close, but I can't do black guys. But when you, so if you're doing that level, you're doing that level of work, there's probably more of a need to be in that organization. But what I think happens is new voice actors come in. Oh, well, if I join a union, I'm going to get work. No, you're just going to be paying them $2,000 a year and you're not getting anything because you have no name, out there. But when you start out, like all of us do in our home studios, in our basement or whatever, you can build to that level of career. You really can build to that level. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next year. It may take you 10, 20 years to get to that level, the same way it took them to get to that. They didn't just get there. Right. You know what I'm saying? They didn't just get there. It didn't just happen overnight. So I think there's a reason to join a union at a certain point. But there's so much work out here that's non-union that you can just go after and get and make your own deals.
Right. Definitely when the union was created, it was a very necessary thing. There was a lot of studios trying to stiff people. Especially for voice actors. I mean, not too long ago, we had a huge voice actor strike because studios didn't want to pay for the efforts, which is all the noises, the breathing and the running sounds and the hurt sounds. They didn't want to pay
effects
for those.
And all that.
Yeah, they didn't want to pay for that. So the union is a necessary, I almost want to say a necessary evil because they have also done a good bit of screwing people over. There's lots of history with that, but if you actually get to a point where you have a name that people recognize and you're up for those kinds of auditions and you have that kind of management.
And too, Tom, I mean, they're not even up for auditions. People just call them, hey, we need you to do this.
That's true. Yeah.
They're not at the audition level. They're at the level where people are just calling. Say, hey, we want you. That's why I want to.
They're at the, I already know you do this. Come on in. Let's just make this happen. But as far as like I've done games that are sold on PlayStation 4. Some really good. I mean, when I auditioned for, I didn't know I was gonna be there. I was just, I was just like, oh, it's gonna be fun. And I've done stuff that's sold on Steam. There's one of my regular clients is Cartoon Hooligans, and they do stuff on YouTube, and they have over 1 million subscribers, and the stuff's viewed a lot. And every time they post a video, I normally get some kind of subscriber boost and stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun. I don't make a lot of work, but it is. I mean, I don't get a lot of I don't get a lot of work. I think it's like once every 3 months, something like that. They don't post that many videos, but it is fun, and I would rather do stuff like that. That's fun. That's smaller. Smaller projects than, not enjoying life and being a part of the union and struggling and, that kind of stuff. The digital age, despite how many professionals reject the digital age, it is, I think it's the better way. It's the better direction.
One of the things that's coming out with that, though, Tim, too, is, I get a lot of questions about, I'm this agent wants me to come on and they want me to be exclusive. I'm like, hell no. What are they going to feed you? Are they literally going to be giving you enough work to feed yourself? They want to hamstring you so you can't make money outside of them, and they're only sending you a job every other month? Come on, get out of here. No, you do not ever. Right.
To audition
exactly.
for?
To to audition for. I
No.
never would sign an exclusive contract with anyone. Period. No, I'm will be the master of my own.
Like, there's a lot of stuff, and this was actually when I took acting back when I was a teenager. This was one of the things that I benefited the most from it. Is they
Okay.
actually covered a lot of the industry and how not to get screwed in the industry, and a lot of it was like if an agency or a manager wants money up front,
Yeah.
it's a scam. Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter how much, no matter how little, no matter what they promise you, no matter how many people they have in there,
Yeah.
it's a scam. Walk away. You're getting nothing. Okay.
Sure.
The only time that they make money is when you make money.
Right.
That's their job. They get a percentage. That's it. It's the only relationship you have with them. You don't pay any. There's no agency or manager that you pay a membership fee.
Right.
So that was like the biggest advice that I'd ever gotten. There was like 2 people that tried to screw me over like that, and I was like, oh,
Wow.
later. I've never gotten. I have an acting agent in Austin, Texas. They don't do any voiceover work, and considering that's the majority of what I do, I was talking to him. I was like, I'm probably gonna have to leave because I mostly do voiceover and you don't really do any voiceover. And he was telling me, he's like, hey, if you find an agency that's going to work with you for strictly voiceover, he's like, you don't have to leave me. I have no problem with it. He's like, I'll continue doing acting and commercial work with you for like physical on screen. And if you find someone for voiceover, even if we're in conflicting areas, it's fine. And he's a really cool dude. Like he's really, really, I don't really think he understands what I do and who I am because he keeps giving me roles to audition for like drill sergeants.
Okay.
Based on what? The last time he gave me and I had to send him, I had to message him. I was like, dude, this is the second one you've sent me. We've met in person. You know what I look like. Because I'm there in the lobby and there's dudes that are like 6'3", and I'm just sitting there in a blue polo just... So what are y'all here for? Like if it was a comedy and I'm like doing a Don Knotts, like that would be fine.
Okay.
But I walk into the audition and she's just looking at me and she gave me this like, no, just no. We both knew it, and I was like, all right, later, see you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it is good for people to get agents, but it's not necessary. It's like the Screen Actors Guild. Like
I've got 3.
Yeah, there's a specific reason to have agents and managers. And personally, for me, just having agents is more like just another place that I can put my face in my demo.
That's it.
Like, but there's enough digital platforms that I can submit for days.
Yeah. If you had to rely on your agent, you'd still be working the other job.
Right.
If you had to just rely on your agent, yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's not gonna be. I mean, most of the stuff that he gets in this area is like they're looking for someone tall, tan, and athletic, and I'm like,
yeah.
Please don't fill my inbox with these. Stop filling my inbox. But as far as character and animation, I started out when I was a kid. I was doing a lot of voices, doing a lot of impressions. We lived up in the mountains, like I said, in California. We didn't have a lot of friends, so it was just me and my 2 brothers and my sister, and we just played. We did a lot of voices. Me and my brother still have goals of doing cartoons, so I would do all the voices. He would draw all the pictures and stuff like that. And so I got into that, and then I did acting, and then I did stand-up comedy. So my thing has always been performing. Right. It doesn't matter where it is. Doesn't matter if it's on a mic, on a stage, in front of a camera. It's performing and then entertaining people and stuff like that. And so that's why I went into what I do, and I'm good at the performing, but I'm not good at the marketing.
Okay.
And I feel like that's more your strength. That's
my main
marketing.
strength.
Yeah, that's
my everything is the marketing.
Right. Like we were talking before on the phone. We're talking about emailing, and I looked over all of my old emails that I had sent. Just kind of I had tortured myself listening to my old demos. Why not torture myself even further? And all of them were exactly the same. All of them were copy, paste, the exact, they didn't have anything specific to the people that I was sending it to, they didn't have those. It was all, I would love to be a part of your project. I'm amazing. I've been doing this for years.
Yep.
You know, I do
Yep.
all kinds of,
Yep.
I do character, I do impressions, I do that, like a laundry list of things. And then down at the bottom was my terrible demos and my headshot, which was unnecessary. And a resume that was too many pages.
Mhm.
And so my thing now has been, I don't have any templates. I don't use any templates. Now what I do is, like if it's like, for example, if it's on Voices, you know, I will say hi and the person's name. Hi, Janet. You know, I hope you're having a good day. You know, I still say I would love to work on this project. If you know, thank you for your time, or thanks in advance for your time, Tim. Like I keep it really short. Sometimes I'll describe
For an
something about the
audition.
project.
For an audition
For an
that
audition.
you're
For an
putting out.
audition.
Yeah.
Not the email.
Yeah.
Like I'm hoping that you and I can talk later off of this, and we can talk that, because unless I know what I'm doing, I'm not going to start ruining. Not going to start throwing mud out in the water with my name on it, just for everyone to like remember me. Oh, is that Tim? I remember Tim. He sent me the soliloquy of unnecessary information.
Yeah.
From before. So unless I figure out how to do that
And that's normally what we do.
Right.
That's normally what we do, which is the complete wrong approach.
Right. But yeah.
Complete wrong.
also on Voices, I started doing this. A lot of people will slate their name on voices.com, voice123. You don't got to do that. Your face and your name comes up on there.
Yeah.
And these people get like 50, 60 auditions per project, sometimes hundreds.
Right.
So imagine this. You're slating your name and you're saying, I'm auditioning for, this is going to be multiple takes. If everyone did that, that is like 30 minutes of their time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasted. So now I just do the audition, try to keep it as short.
One of the
sweet as
biggest
possible.
things that people do wrong is that whether it's an email or an audition or whatever, they make it all about them as opposed to about the potential client
right.
or whatever. And people have heard me talk about, email marketing or, doing something on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. And they're like, well, how do you reach out to these people? I'm like, well, how would you reach out to a chick you're trying to date? If you're trying to reach
I've
out,
been failing at this. No wonder I'm
and I
getting
use
nothing.
this example a lot. Because if you're out, let's say you got the first date or whatever,
Right.
and you're sitting there at the table and all you're talking about is how great you are. She's out.
Right.
She doesn't want to hear all that stuff.
No,
it's like, so if you're just initially meeting a girl, you wouldn't go up to a girl, or if you're a girl, go up to a man or whatever your preference is, doesn't matter. You go up to this person that you're interested in. You don't go in saying, I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. I've got a Neumann TLM 103. I've got a whisper room. I've got, you don't go in talking about yourself. The first thing that you do, whether it's you or I meeting, you didn't send me an email telling me all about your crap.
Right.
It was, hey, Earl, and you talked about me and what you discovered about me or whatever.
Right.
You will make it more about me. So if I'm trying to reach out to someone on LinkedIn, I don't go for, you familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk? No.
I'm going to say
okay.
no. I'm going to say no.
Okay. All right. Well, he wrote this book called Jab, Jab, Right Hook. And anyway, and he's one of the guys that I follow a lot. So if I'm reaching out to someone on Instagram, let's say they're a casting director. All right. So most people, what they would do, they'll shoot them an instant message. Hey, I'm a voice actor. Would love to work with you if you've got something coming up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same thing as walking up to a girl. Hey, I like your breasts. Can we go to bed? It's like,
That is a flawless
it's
analogy.
too much. It's
Wow.
too much. It's too much.
Too
They
direct.
don't know you.
Right.
They don't care who you are. And you're begging. You're in the begging mode.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if how I would do it, same casting director, I would go look at that casting director's all of their social media presence. I would look at their Facebook. I would look at their Instagram. I would look at their whatever they had available that I could glean from their LinkedIn profile and doing my own research.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, casting director, I see you guys did this great thing on Cartoon Network. That was amazing. I watched the video. Keep up the great work. Send. No mention of who I am. No mention of what I do, because I'm courting them. And when you do that, what'll happen is it's almost like on their end, oh my gosh, somebody appreciates what I did. Just imagine, just being a human being. Oh wow, they listened to my demo,
Right.
type of thing. That's the same way they feel, no matter what their position is. They feel, oh wow, someone paid attention to something that I'm doing. What happens with that, from that one thing, generally what happens is they click on my fat little face to see what I do in the profile. I haven't asked for a thing.
Right.
I haven't asked for a thing. All of a sudden, what can happen over time? They looked at, oh, he's a voice actor. Hey, Jim, don't we have that part coming up for, I just saw this guy. That's what happens. You want people coming to you because when they come to you, you're not the beggar.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all we are. We're out here begging. Hey, I can do a voice thing, and I can, hey, can I get on your next project, please? Please give me some more. Can I please do you? Please let me. And that's what we look like and what we sound like. Whereas opposed, if you court them and let them discover who you are, it's a much better thing to have someone come to you to say, hey, I want you to audition for this, as opposed to you begging every 5 minutes because you found someone that does, is a creative director in this or, whatever director in that, and you're just constantly begging for work. It's not a good look.
Like that kid in Walmart.
Exactly. And like the process that I teach, the process that I teach is a long game. It's not a short. Everybody wants this instant gratification. Oh, the only instant gratification game that we have is in the audition process. Mm-hmm. But when we're actually marketing ourselves and trying to get people to discover who we are, know, like, and trust us, we can't be out there begging for work. What we have to do is become their champions of what they do and talk to them from their perspective about what they're interested in, not what we are.
Right. And the audition stuff is always for that one gig. Like, you seldomly ever will like go to one of these audition casting websites and then get a forever client. That's rarely ever gonna happen. It's always gonna be.
And that same scenario that I just said, that same scenario that I just gave with DMing in LinkedIn, that's the email too. Hey, wow, I just send an email with the title. Just saw you on your Facebook video. Just saw your YouTube video titled whatever. They're going to open it.
Right.
As opposed to, hey, I'm a voice actor. Come give me some work.
Right. Because it's a platform that they weren't expecting that. They weren't expecting the contact. I've actually emailed people like what you just said. And this is another example of, I have no idea what I'm probably doing something right, but I have no idea what it is. And I've actually done that. There was actually a couple of people that I genuinely actually liked their stuff on YouTube. They did animation and I genuinely liked it, and I just messaged them and said that I liked it, and some of them have like contacted me after that, saying that they liked my stuff, and some of them said, I see you're a voice actor, if we have anything come up, we'll contact you, but they've never contacted me. But that is apparently, that's more like what you were saying, and that's just totally by accident.
Yeah.
As far as like doing the character work, I got that. I just don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well,
and I'll admit
with the digital age,
that. It is good to know what your strength and your weaknesses are. And I know I'm very familiar with what I either don't know what to do or I'm not good at.
Well, and the thing about the instant gratification is a big thing because people want to send an email today and get a result with a $1,000 gig tomorrow. And I say this to voice actors that are just starting out. Look, and I'm very emphatic about it. It's like, if you're not willing to put the next 3 to 5 years into this, just quit today.
Right.
Just quit. If you're not willing to go all in for the next 3 to 5 years with the no's, with the rejections, with everything else in order to build your presence, if you're not willing to do that and you want this to pop off for you within the next 90 days, just quit. Because it's not going to happen.
No.
It's just not. I don't care what course you take. I don't care what coach you use. And I don't care who tells you what. This is not going to happen for you in the next 90 days. It's just not.
And it's the same with any other performing art, stand-up comedy, acting. It's going to be exactly the same. Stand-up comedy.
If it was that freaking easy, you'd be Steve Harvey right now, the white version.
Right.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Like people, like, we only see them when they're successful. We didn't see the 90% of their life that happened before that. And we just assume, like, oh, he just went up there and was immediately amazing, immediately funny. I have a couple of friends that keep, trying to, contact me. It was like, hey, if we pitch this idea, we'll get on. I'm like, no, you're not. No one's buying that. It's like, first of all, nobody knows who you are. You haven't done the work.
Right.
This would be
get
your
out
first thing.
Get out on
getting
some
straight up
sort
there.
of comedy circuit.
Right.
You just start traveling from Texas all the way around to Florida up to New York and just do comedy clubs and get booed the hell out of so that you could really learn how to do this. And maybe by the time you get to New York, right? Maybe by the time you get to New York in the next, year or so, you might be, this much closer. But you'll be a heck of a lot better.
Do a 15 minutes by yourself as an opener for another no name.
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, for another no name. And this is another thing. And the reason I started doing the auditions now the way I do them is because I started doing my comedy very similarly.
Okay.
A lot of my comedy is now about 60% of it is now crowd work, as opposed to being entirely memorized, practiced. Constantly telling myself while I'm on stage, you got to do this, walk here, do this, and this kind of stuff. Now, all of it is looking at the audience, how are they reacting, communicating with them, and being more myself and more natural. And
gotcha.
it is way more fun for me. It's way less stress, and it ends up with a better product. And I think that a lot of this can be said for voiceover and can be said for pretty much about anything.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I don't know anything about comedy though. I couldn't do it. So
if you've struggled and you've suffered, you've probably done comedy.
If you've got a lot of pain in your life, I hear that. I see
agony,
that. Yeah.
If there's any pain anywhere, you've done comedy. All right. Yeah. I want to quickly go through the last of these questions. We actually hit a lot of these, so which is good just in conversation, because these are the kind of questions that any voice actor would want to ask another voice actor, and these are the kind of questions that new voice actors would want to ask a professional. But now I want to go over something that's a little bit more specific to you. I want to, because these are stuff that I go over with myself all the time, which is short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. Where do I see myself in a year? Where do I see myself in 5 years? Where do I see myself in 10 years? That kind of stuff. Sure. And it's just I feel like it's good for people to ask themselves that, because that way what it is you need to do now in order to get to those places.
Sure. Reverse engineering.
Right. And for example, myself is one of my long-term goals is to eventually have an actual studio where I actually dub other people's cartoons. And this actually came to me because I was actually contacted like 2 or 3 times by people that were doing animations that wanted to know that thought I was a dubbing company, a dubbing studio. And I obviously had to tell them that I wasn't. I'm not going to lie to them and ruin my hopes of working with them later.
Right.
But one of them was an Indian 3D animation company that was doing the Star Wars Lego series for, I think it was Cartoon Network or something like that. And they contacted me wanting to know, what I charge for dubbing per episode or hourly rates and all this kind of stuff, all these questions. And eventually I was like, I would love to audition, but I'm a single person. I'm not a studio. And they're like, oh, well, thank you for being honest. Thank you for not wasting our time. We're not really auditioning at this moment, but, thank you. And then they left. And then it happened again. And I was like, I need to just make this happen. So that's in my relatively long-term goal. My midterm is always like just move the ceiling to what I make every month up a little bit. Move the quality of my demos up a little bit. Get my name out there to 2 more sites a month, to 2 more places, a month, do this many more auditions. So those are my short terms, which are always like, those are reoccurring every time.
Sure.
So what kind of stuff do you have in your short, mid, and long term?
Well, basically, immediately, some of the stuff that's coming up is we just landed this Earl Hall studio, just landed, and my team, this e-learning project, ongoing e-learning project. So we're becoming an e-learning production studio.
Okay.
Where we're actually going to be hiring voice actors to do, because it's literally about 1,000 projects between now and the end of next year. that need to get done. And so that was part of my plan, was to become an actual audio production studio. And I did this before this happened. And so I've been able to develop a team, a really good team of script writers and audio production folks that do the production for me.
The pre-production and post-production.
Exactly. The long-term goals that I have for Earl Hall Studio is literally to become one of, if not the go-to studio to have commercials done for radio and TV, as well as demo production for voice actors. Those are two different things, two different markets, but those two different markets are what I want to own. I want to own those two different markets. I don't want to beat anybody up or tear anybody down. I just want to have the biggest building in the city, but doesn't mean I have to tear yours down. I'm just going to work harder than you are to do it. So that's like within the next 5 to 10 years, I want to have that come to fruition. What you'll notice is that I've said nothing about my own personal voiceover career,
right?
Because I have gotten so much into building the business of this that voiceover, I can't say is second to me, because I still audition every day,
right,
and I love doing that. But I can see as I move forward, wanting to promote and prop up and build up other voice actors to get to where it is that they want to be. Because ultimately, what I want to be is a business owner. It could be, selling Powerade or whatever, but I want to be a business owner that has built a substantial business that now I'm able to give more than I've ever been able to give before. Especially in this genre, which is so close to my heart of voiceover, because I feel like so many of us have been screwed over so many times. We pay too much for this. We get promised this, and that's not delivered in this class or this course. But because we were brand new and ignorant, for all intents and purposes, we just didn't know any better.
Right.
And
we didn't
that's
know
why
what was missing because we didn't know what was supposed to be there.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I got into the coaching space last year when I did, and it's just grown. It's just been snowballing since then. Love all my haters. Thank you out there. But
they're necessary. Haters are just as important as fans.
Definitely. Thank you for the YouTube watches. I appreciate it.
They keep reminding you. They'll keep reminding you.
And thank you for the thumbs down, because that counts for me as well. So keep giving me your thumbs down as well. It just means you're paying attention. Exactly.
If it's monetized, it's still money. Like, it's fine.
There you go. But the biggest thing that I want to do is to be more of a support system for this community that I just love so much, and to be able to help more than I'm able to help now.
Good. So basically, it's more like you're more concerned about Earl Hall Studio being a name that everyone knows, more than people knowing Earl Hall.
Exactly. Even my script writers, Conchita, Joe, my audio production, John Carlos Flood, I'm trying to put them more out in front even of what I'm doing. And a lot of that's coming because I think there needs to be more of me. There needs to be more of you. There needs to be more JCs, more Conchitas. Right. There needs to be more voices out there that are helping us all do what needs to be done. That's why I was so grateful for you reaching out, which no one has ever done.
Which blew my mind. I couldn't imagine that no one had reached out to you like this.
Nah. There's such a air of, and I call it less than, thinking that, well, if I bring Earl onto my show, my audience is going to go over to Earl. Well, no, you're not, unless Earl is just 20 million times better than you are at what you do, and I produce better content, then yeah, they may. But what about when I bring you onto my show? I want to expose you to my audience to let people know, just like you didn't know about Gary Vaynerchuk. I want more people to know about Gary Vaynerchuk. And there's all these things. I want more people to know about Timmy. I want more people to know about different resources that are out there that's going to be able to help them. It does not ever have to just come from Earl Hall. There's more out there than me. Go get it.
Right. Like there's other people that do impressions, and I'm not in competition with them. There's a really famous, probably the most famous YouTube celebrity that does impressions. His name is Brock Baker. I don't know if
I've never heard of him.
Yeah. He lives in LA. I got to meet him, I think, like 2 years. We had basically known of each other since we started in YouTube, which was 10 years ago, which was kind of like shortly after YouTube became a thing.
Sure.
And we both started doing impressions. His thing was doing as many impressions as he could.
Okay.
And my thing was, I want to, I don't want to do as many because there's lots of people that are doing tons. I want to get as good as I can at the few that I do. I want to nail them. I want them to be uncanny. And it's kind of very similar to my audio quality motivation and kind of thing. And even though, like, if we auditioned for like the same role, or we knew the same people, they would still see us differently. There's still, like, there's some roles and there's some voices and some gigs that he would be better suited for, and then there's ones that I would be better suited for, and I know that. And just like, your thing is more commercial and marketing, and my thing is just more entertaining. So, we're not in competition with each other, like, in any way.
Yeah.
And even if we were incredibly similar, like Puatu that I interviewed not too long ago, there's some voices and there's some characters and there's some roles that are better for him and there's some that are better for me.
Sure.
There's some, we're all very, very different. Depends on the project, depends on our voice, depends on, all this stuff. There's so many factors and there's so many marketing venues. There's so many companies. There's enough space out there for all of us. People are thinking that there's only so many companies and they can only hire so many voice actors. You have no idea how many companies there are.
I know.
There are so many independent game, companies that they're just producing
all over
their
the
own
world.
games out of their bedroom, out of nowhere, and it's really high quality stuff. And they're still making enough money that they can hire a voice actors. People are doing cartoons on YouTube that are just about as good as anything you'd find on television.
Yeah.
There's small companies that need to produce their own commercials. There's so much out there. There's no reason for any voice actor to ever be afraid of another voice actor. We're not in competition with each other.
Yeah.
Which is something that a lot of people I don't think understand. No one's the best because there's no one thing that just defines voiceover. So there's no top.
I know, man. I think we can do so much more together. I think we do so much more together than being disjointed and not connected or being scared that a part of your audience is going to follow me or a part of my audience is going to follow you. It's it's like, come on, really? It's
just completely different.
Keep producing the content. People are going to follow you if it's good content.
Right. Let's see. Okay, so we went over weaknesses. So one of my first demos, I actually went to a studio to get it done. And this guy was supposedly a professional. And I went and, we recorded it there. I brought all the scripts. I have behind the scenes of me in the studio and recording it. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to be there and have someone on the other end of the glass and to work with and to play off of. And then I took the recording home and I hated every bit of it. The audio quality was really low. It was like compressed too hard. There was all this background noise.
Oh my God.
And they weren't the best reads. So what I did after that is I listened to them and tried to, what about this do I like and how can I make it better? And so I re-recorded it in my own space. And those actually became the first real professional demos that I did, even though I went to another studio.
I had the same experience. Experience.
Yeah. And it cost me like $200. Same thing with headshots. All my headshots now are all done by myself. They're all done by myself.
Did you ever see, what's so funny? People are so, I'll say this again, fancy about stuff. I don't know if you knew, but I produced a magazine that came out the end of last year.
It's like your own Oprah magazine.
Exactly. It's called VO Core. I'm not producing it anymore. I just did one. But that cover was taken with my iPhone. I just took it. Yeah. I mean, people are so fancy about stuff. It's like just, because I need to get headshots. Yeah, you got a cell phone that probably has a better camera than the guy you're going to go have take your picture. So it's like.
don't go out and spend that. Save the money.
Yeah, this
your craft.
was my YouTube camera for 2 years. Okay, my cell phone, just me shooting videos and editing them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's a much better industry, and for people who really want to get into it and are okay with the struggle, this is the best time to get into this.
Absolutely.
And you can
Absolutely.
ask any of us any question. For those
Mm-hmm.
who are listening, you can message us. We're more than happy to,
Absolutely.
answer. People send me demos to listen to. What do you think? And there was one guy I could tell that he was hunched over, like he was trying to like get into a small space to record, and I was like, I could tell that you're hunched over.
Gotcha.
Try to lean back, extend the vocal cords and let your lungs relax. And he sent me another one. He sounded way better.
Yeah.
We're not afraid to give you guys advice. Those that have are a little uppity, don't worry about those guys. Just walk away.
Yeah. Just walk away.
Don't
Keep it
listen to
moving.
their advice. Don't talk to them. They're all
When people
absorbed.
ask me, and more than anything else, when people ask me questions on my YouTube channel, I respond very quickly to YouTube than anywhere else, because you've consumed. Basically, if people email me something, it's like a broad question that I can't answer. But when people respond or ask a question from a YouTube video, it's very specific, because they've got a very specific question, because that video was about something very specific.
Right.
So I love responding to the YouTube stuff all the time.
Oh yeah, so much fun. We're gonna hurry up and get to some. We're gonna get some fun questions. Who is your voiceover inspiration? Who inspires you?
There is no one. I don't have one.
Really?
I really don't. There's no one that I have just said, oh, I want to be like that guy or that gal or whatever. Voiceover became an interest to me because of background that I had in radio. So there was no one that I looked up to in the VO community. Also, because I started over a decade ago, none of the frickers would return a phone call, or none of the frickers would answer email. So, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So that was over a decade
Right.
ago. Certain things have changed, but I never had someone that I could just say, yeah, I want to be like that.
Okay. Even when you were little, you never it never motivated you. Okay.
No. It's just a skill set that I had, that I loved, that I just fell in love with doing. And that was it.
Cool. Well, that's good. That ruined the follow-up question, but
Ruined
okay.
the follow-up question. Okay.
No. It's fine. The people that I always looked up to and admired weren't really the voice actors until lately. Now I look at other voice actors and I follow them and I see what they did, but it was always the characters, and the entertaining. That character was entertaining. I'd want to portray that character at some point. It was never like the people behind them. So that was always my thing is the characters and stuff like that. What would be some don'ts for newcoming voice actors? We probably covered a couple, but what would be some don'ts? Name 3 don'ts.
I think probably I think the biggest, I don't know if it's a don't or whatever, but I think it's probably a do. So maybe I'm going against your question. People put way too much thought into their microphone, into their interface, when the most important thing is the recording space.
Right.
That is the thing. If you don't have that, does not matter. I mean, in my booth, I've got a Neumann TLM103, but right here I'm using an Electro Voice RE320, which is a broadcast mic. This was my voiceover mic for years. This mic right here, but I only use it now for broadcasting because it's an outstanding broadcast mic. Invest more in your space than anything else. So don't go out and buy a Neumann TLM103 and you do not have an adequate recording space, because it will sound like a $20 USB mic.
Right. My addition to that would be, spend as little as you can. There's tons of videos, especially now. You and I have both done tons of videos on how to get a good quality sound and what decent microphones to find. But my thing would be you do need to move forward with your gear, but only buy stuff that you've basically saved up money from doing voiceover.
You've got money to buy it now. Yeah.
Right. Don't go spending money you don't have, endlessly. You've made $10 doing voiceover. Well, I guess I need to get a new mixer and a new... No. That's $10. That's nothing. That's nothing. When you start making, more a month than the gear that you're actually using, then you can look into what would improve my sound, what can take me to that next step. But
Definitely.
If you're listening to it and it sounds fine, the only reason I got this was because my Blue Spark, which is a $200 microphone, gave out. I had 2 of them, and they both gave out. Their capsules just gave up, and they had this high frequency problem, and it was really sad because it's my favorite sounding microphone. But that was really the only reason that I genuinely moved forward. I have a Audio-Technica 2020, which I've told everyone.
That was my first mic. I love that microphone.
Yeah, I was like, if
that mic.
If this goes out, I have that, I'm fine. I even have, I have tons of mics that are worth $50, $60. I was like, I don't have to use this one. The only reason I use this one is because my space isn't perfectly soundproof, and this gives me the ability to not have to do less editing. Also has a really low noise floor. That's really the only reason that I got this, was because I needed a forever mic that would give me all those things. So my thing is, you don't have to spend that much. What would be your second don't?
The other thing is, when you're just starting out, there's a lot of questions that people have, and so many times people allow other people to give them permission to be great. And I've said to people, and what I mean by that is, we're waiting for someone to give us permission to move ahead. We're waiting for someone to give us a permission to do VO. Now, let's just be honest. If you've been in VO for 2 months, you suck. Okay?
Only too much. If it's only been too much, you're really, really bad. Trust me. Like, anyone who's watching this, trust us. Trust us.
And so
First
many times
year
people...
is
brutal. It's like, and so you're asking people to listen to your demo, and you're asking people to do this and that. You have no clue what it is that you're actually doing yet. And then some voiceover coach tells you you don't have the skill, you don't have the talent to do it. And I've literally said to people, if this is your dream, if this is what you want to do, if you ask me to review your crap and I review your crap and I tell you it's crap, if I can tell you it's crap and you quit, you really didn't want to do this anyway.
Right.
So I don't care who
famous.
tells you what. Right. Yeah. It's like, I don't care if this is your goal and this is your dream. Know that it's not going to happen this year. You're going to suck for a while before you get better. So if you're asking for permission to do this, which you should be asking 5 years from now, this question, not today, but just don't allow anyone to take away your dream. I don't care whether it's me, it does not matter. If this is what you want to do, put in the work, because it is a lot on the talent side and on the business side to really do something that's going to be substantial in the voiceover community. Right. So that would be the thing. Don't wait for someone to give you permission to do it.
Right. But if you come to somebody and they tear you to pieces, and what you take from that is, well, I guess I need to work on this, then you're in the right place. You're in the right spot.
Exactly.
Early on I was asking so much advice from so many people, and I got so much horrible things said about and to me, and I was just like, all right, I'll take a little bit of time to think about it, but I went right back. I went right back. My thing is also, as far as the coaching, I know a lot of people are always looking for coaching, and for some people, I think coaching is good. Some people might not need full coaching. Some people don't need the full. There's some voice actors that do like a month class or something like that, and some people don't genuinely need that. If you genuinely need a full month of someone walking you through, maybe you're probably not ready.
Probably not ready. Yeah.
And my big thing is definitely don't take any courses or classes or coaching from anyone you have no idea who they are, or you cannot find their body of work.
Exactly.
There's a lot out there, especially in LA. If you're in LA or New York, there's a lot of people that offer coaching or classes, and they're for like hundreds to thousands of dollars. And I can't find them on an IMDb page.
Right, IMDb, never mind YouTube.
Yeah. I can't find them anywhere. And for anyone to charge hundreds to thousands of dollars, I need to know who you are.
Yeah, what have you done?
Right.
What have you done? That's the ultimate thing with that. And that's one of the main reasons I do so much on YouTube. Right. I want people to know, one, who I am, what my philosophies are, what it is that I teach. And I mean, shucks, I give away all my best information on YouTube anyway. And what's so funny is I tell people, you really don't have to take any course that I have. All the information is here. You just got to look for it.
Right. If
It's there.
if you don't like, if
Right.
scrolling just too much for you, okay, I guess
Exactly.
we'll do the class.
And
Like,
I'm sure I've left a lot of money on the
click on the
table.
next video.
Yeah, you know. Wow.
Why would you do
I gotta
this?
look for it. I gotta look for this. But I mean, I know I've left tons of money on the table, but it also goes back to my integrity and everything else as far as what I went through coming up in this industry where no one was willing to tell you a damn thing.
Right.
I'd rather go ahead and give that information out. So whether you can afford to pay for my class or not, you can still get the information. I just think that's right to do.
Right. I mean, when I started on YouTube and I started doing Fiverr, like there was really nothing like this out there. There was a few people doing the whole, this is how to do voiceover, and they cover everything, but they don't actually talk about like how to actually do voiceover. We need to put like all this expensive foam, we need to buy the microphone, and talk like, about this far away. It's like, that's not doing microphone. I mean, that's not doing voiceover. That's doing microphone. Actually, that's what that would be. Third don't. What would be the third don't for up-and-comers or new or inspiring?
Don't blame anyone else for your success or failure. It's your fault. If you succeed or you don't, it's your fault. Own it. Just own it.
Absolutely. 100% agree. That is.
Yeah. It's not a coach's fault. It's not a class's fault. It's not because you took this course and something didn't happen and you are not doing what you need to do and getting the information that you need to get, doing and learning the things that you need to learn and things of that nature. So I've been telling people for the longest time, if you succeed or fail, it's your fault. So just own that and don't allow yourself to blame anyone else for it.
Right. Same thing. Like if you take a huge coaching, class and you succeed, that's you. That's you, because you took what was available to you.
And you did the work.
And you did the work. They didn't do the work for you. That's you. Be proud of yourself. I mean, don't be so proud of yourself like, I'm amazing. No.
Yeah. But people will take these courses over and over. I mean, people will take 2, 3, 4 courses a year and not do jack squat with anything. And they'll say, oh, it wasn't worth anything. No, you didn't do a damn thing. That's what happened. You don't need to take all of these courses. Yeah.
Right.
Too stubborn to learn or to spend the hours. You know how many, I can only imagine how many hours you spent, not even with voiceover, learning how to promote your YouTube channel.
Oh my gosh.
Video watching, how to title, how to tag.
Yeah.
I mean, the hours that goes into just learning how to do YouTube. Never mind voiceover. Whereas if you didn't do it.
Keep the views. That's also really important.
Exactly.
It's the same as keeping clients. I delivered something that people wanted to see, that people enjoyed, and I delivered it in a friendly way. I communicated with them effectively. That was a lot of work. That was a lot of time and it's really brutal.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's like, and when I say, stop blaming people, it's like if you can blame someone for your failure, then you've got to give your success to someone else too.
Right.
Because either it's you or it's not.
Right.
Either it's you or it's not.
Right.
Cool. That's it for me.
Cool. Do you have any questions for me before we do our Mr. Rogers salute to the?
Oh, and I got to get you on in the booth with Earl Hall, so we got to do that.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that's definitely want to get you on the show and expose you to my audience, because I guess some of my audience told you about me, and so now that I know about you,
that's who they are. Because there was there was like 5 or 6 people. Like I said, there was like 5 or 6 people like that would either Facebook me, leave messages on my videos, or email me and they say like, "Hey, what do you think of Earl Hall?" And like I had seen a couple of your videos, but your name didn't ring a bell. And I just told him, I was like, I'm not familiar with the guy. I've only seen a few videos. I was like, if you think, you like his content, by all means, go keep watching his stuff. If you think you need his course, his classes, go for it. And I was like, I don't really have much to say. And then people kept asking. I was like, I got to find out who Earl Hall is. That was my whole thing. That was the whole motivation. I was like, people keep asking, who is Earl Hall? So I had to find out Earl Hall, and I'm glad that I got a chance to really know who Earl Hall is. So thank you.
Yeah, and I appreciate the same, because I got a ton of questions. Like you were talking about commercial, I got a ton of questions about character and video game stuff, because we do those, and we sent out a finished character demo and a video game demo today to do 2 different of our clients.
Oh, nice.
I've just never done video games. I wouldn't even know how to begin. So I've got a ton of questions. So when you come on the show, we're going to talk video. We're going to talk video game.
Awesome.
When you come,
I'll be more than happy. I'm an open book. I am an open book to that. Absolutely.
Cool.
Well, this was a lot of fun. I hope all of the
Absolutely.
viewers and all the listeners enjoyed this. I hope we've answered some questions you guys have been dying to know. If not, y'all can still leave them down below. I'll answer them. You can also find Earl's Twitter, his Facebook, anything that I have on this man, including his YouTube channel, will be down below, and you guys can go check him out.
Awesome.
Again, this is a lot of fun, and I hope to have you on again later. Maybe if we get a ton of questions specific.
Oh yeah, we're going to develop.
this.
Yeah, this time we can
do this
develop all
again.
through the year.
Yeah,
we can do a
yeah.
round table or something.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Peace.